Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Chen joining you for this edition of Nate at 8. And coming up tonight, what are we going to be talking about? Well, cold as we go through the weekend. We saw those high temperatures back in the 40s today, but now our high temperatures are going to be back closer to, if not below freezing. We have some very cold temperatures coming our way through the weekend. And what makes matters worse in that regard is the breeze. So we factor in those wind gusts upwards of 25 miles per hour through tomorrow, and it's going to feel even colder than the actual air temperature, just like it did for today. But the wind chill obviously going to be a lot colder as temperatures themselves colder as well as we go through tomorrow. We see that breeze continue. Some flurries could be with us as we go through tomorrow as well, but snow accumulations not anticipated tomorrow, and not much, if anything, for snow accumulations tonight, as we're starting to see that transition to snow now across the area. Our next round of some clipper systems will arrive Friday into Saturday, so we have some snow chances Friday, Saturday. Precipitation types not in question with those. It's just a matter of tuning in where we see the exact track of those systems, as it's going to be pretty narrow, relative to one of these systems, a pretty narrow band of snow that we see set up Friday, a lot of it which likely dives south of us, and then more of a direct hit on Saturday. So we're going to touch on that as well. Our current temperatures now into the 30s. So you can see some locations nearing and below freezing. So now is the time to watch, right? We saw that cold rain today, which, was nice that we didn't have to deal with that wet, heavy snow. It caused some travel delays as we went through the latter part of this morning and this afternoon. That also then means that we have washed away all of that salt was on our roads. So that being said, now we're relying on crews to get out and treat these roads again, because left untreated, these roads are wet and they're going to freeze. We need that treatment on these roads. So start to watch now, especially before crews can get out and treat all these area roads. We can see some areas of ice on these roads developing. They can get slick here early on tonight. And just in general, still watch for some slick spots as we go into tomorrow morning. Keep in mind that bridges, overpasses, they're going to be the first to freeze here early on tonight. This is coming off of high temperatures that were into the 40s, and we finally saw a high of 40 plus this month. We went 9 straight days here before we saw that. The warmest high being 38 degrees on the 7th, but we finally saw a 40-degree high on the 10th, and it's been 20 years the last time that we had no 40-plus high from the 1st through the 9th of December. The coldest start to December for us here in the Ohio Valley in 2 decades. And the cold, just returns as we go through the weekend. But if you're like what we felt for today, I know it was still chilly, but if you like those temperatures climbing back in the 40s, I think you are in luck for next week, as we can start to see some warmer temperatures. So there's that transition from rain to snow. We're seeing that transition occur across a good portion of the area. Again, not a whole lot of snow on the back edge of this. There's not. We're looking again and still anticipating little or no snow accumulation. But the primary concern at this point is that as these temperatures are dropping and our roads are wet, they're going to freeze. And again, bridges, overpasses are always the first to freeze, as they don't have the ground to insulate the one side of the road. It's getting cooled from both sides. So watch for those bridges, overpasses early on tonight. And in general, our roads, as we go overnight, as temperatures are going to continue to drop off, we still can get some flurries to linger overnight into tomorrow. But, overnight as well as tomorrow, not anticipating snow accumulations from what we do see extending throughout the day. Thursday, get spot a little bit of sunshine, but still quite a bit of cloud cover tomorrow. And the bigger story is just, we're about 10 degrees cooler for our highs. So they're back closer to 30 rather than 40 for Thursday afternoon. And we factor in that breeze, it's going to feel even colder, right? Those wind gusts still up to about 25 miles per hour. So for a lot of this stretch, it can feel like it's into the teens as we go overnight, as well as going throughout a good portion of Thursday. So it's going to be just bitterly cold in that regard. Then as we look ahead into Friday, this is, like I mentioned, one of 2 clipper systems that we're going to watch. And then the one on Friday, you'll notice that Futurecast isn't showing too much at all. And what it's doing is this is right off our screen. So you notice that blue there on the edge, the bottom left. So Futurecast even showing that snow diving well towards our south, even south of Parkersburg. And that could very well be the case, that more narrow band of snow, which delivers a good a good accumulation of about 2 to 4 inches. That core of that snow is likely south of us. There's still a possibility that we get a little bit of this and get more clipped by it, if you will. And we get spot a little bit of snow as we go through Friday, but it doesn't look like we're dealing with a whole lot in terms of accumulation. Then the story, I think, changes once we get into Saturday, because it is more of a direct hit. And the other interesting aspect with Saturday is that this is going to be more of that dry, powdery snow, because temperatures are going to be 20s to teens. Temperatures are dropping into Saturday night when we're still seeing that snow fall, and you can get those higher snow ratios, meaning that we don't need as much liquid to produce more snow. So that makes for the possibility there for accumulations. And I think for Saturday as it stands, I would say there's good odds for picking up at least an inch or two, but I think the potential is there Saturday that we even exceed a few inches of snow. I think it is a possibility, and we'll start to iron that out for finer details here over the next couple of days leading up into the weekend. But for Friday, again, most of that snow dives south. We're looking at the possibility maybe up to an inch, at most 2 south of I-70. But for a lot of us, it's likely not much. I think for a lot of us, it's an inch or less, if that. Again, a lot of that snow is not impacting us on Friday, and likely going to be seeing a lot of that just south of us. But for Saturday, I think is more the impactful event, the one to be more mindful of. Saturday looks to break out in the afternoon, continuing then into Saturday night. And like I mentioned, I think there's a good chance for at least an inch or two of snow, but I think the potential is there for even more than a few inches of that snow on Saturday. With these systems on Friday and Saturday, this is just a matter of timing, mapping out the track of these systems. Precipitation type is not in question on Friday and Saturday. It's going to be cold. Those temperatures are struggling to get above freezing Friday, and we are likely even holding in the 20s. It'll be close to upper 20s, 30. That's going to be the high temperature for Saturday. And by Sunday, highs are in the 20s for sure, likely even lower 20s. So very cold weekend is ahead for us. And no repeat of what we had for today with highs in the 40s until we get to next week. So here's a one model depiction again on Friday. Just wanted to illustrate again. Notice that it's a pretty narrow band, for one of these systems that from extending from Illinois, Indiana, there into portions of Kentucky, West Virginia. That's a good, 2-4 inches of snow. But it's a matter of where do we see that shot of that 2 to 4 inches. And it is likely just south of us. Even if this were to trend a little further north, we're still likely out of that core of that heavier snow. But we could then, if this trends a little further north, that's where we could get that, like I mentioned, up to an inch at most 2. But up to an inch, I think is at least possible for us, especially if this trends a little bit further to the north, and then areas further south of I-70, maybe upwards of 2 if it does trend far enough north. But as it stands now, not much to be had in terms of snow accumulation on Friday. Again, Saturday is going to be more of a direct hit for us, and that's where I think we have better odds to see some light accumulations. And again, we'll watch, because again, as those temperatures are dropping and the snow ratios increase, we can get into a situation where I think it is possible to see more than a few inches of snow fall late Saturday into Saturday night, because again, notice those temperatures are dropping. Notice mid-lower teens by Sunday morning. So as temperatures drop, snow ratios increase, and we could start to pile up more snow with little liquid. And that's another unique situation of Saturday and Saturday night snow to watch for. And again, in that situation, when you see that occur, that's more of that very light, dry, powdery snow, not the wet, heavy snow, which we've had primarily so far. We've dealt with some snow this season, this month, I should say, but it's been that wet, heavy snow. That would not be the case Saturday night. That's where we get more of that dry, powdery snow, which could pile up, a bit more with less liquid. So it is something to note for Saturday night. Again, Friday, chance there for at least some snow showers, flurries, but the core of snow likely stays south of us. So any accumulations would be very light, likely on Friday. But I think the potential there for, I think the possibilities there certainly for us to even exceed a few inches of snow Saturday night. So something we'll monitor. And of course, we'll map out all the timing impacts like we do with these systems as we get closer to the weekend. So stay tuned over the next couple of days as we'll start to iron out the finer details, if you will. By Sunday, we can have some snow showers linger. But of course, at that point, you see just how cold it is. That's going to be the bigger story with respect to any snow showers, is those highs can struggle to even get in the 20s. Yeah, that's cold. But next week, we moderate. So if you liked, again, this 40s for today, notice next week we can string together some 40s. So we could see a warmer period of weather arrive for next week with highs in the 40s. And hopefully we can flip that switch back to some colder temperatures as we look ahead into Christmas. But as it stands now, we see a little milder pattern. This isn't really warm pattern, but it's milder for next week. But hopefully we can flip back to colder in time for Christmas, right? To get our white Christmas chances. As next week, anything that we do see accumulate through the weekend is likely not going to hold up as we go through next week. So we're going to need some more snow likely before Christmas to have our white Christmas. So we're not going to likely get it looking ahead what we have next week, but hopefully then that following week going into Christmas Day that we can sneak in some snow going into it. Hopefully, right? Hopefully that's what we'll be rooting for, because next week doesn't look to favor it. And again, I think we melt anything that we do pick up as we go through the weekend. Austin, good evening. Felt that frigid cold air today and especially heard that crazy wind blowing. I heard it whistling early this morning while I was waking up through my window. And yeah, it was, that was cold rain, wasn't it? It was just not a good day. It was pretty yucky, wasn't it? That's for sure. Dan, good evening. Thank you for tuning in. Sharon, thank you as well. Shelly Burrup staying home. I don't blame you there, Shelly. Not one bit. You're so welcome. Thank you for tuning in. David, good evening to you. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. Renee, good evening. Hopefully everyone was able to stay dry in that cold rain today. And I know it's hard to stay warm in it, but hopefully you're able to stay dry. Christy says, I love snow. Bring it. And yeah, we have at least some coming our way this weekend. Again, especially Saturday. So Saturday night, that afternoon, Saturday night time frame. That's your best, I think, time frame if you like snow. That's our best odds for it as we go through the weekend. That is going to be it. Joe, you are welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I'm ready for spring. Chris says, I'm over it, ready for spring. And again, Chris, at least, not as cold for next week. It's still obviously pretty chilly, but if you ready for spring, at least you get some relief from this very cold start to December, looking ahead for a milder stretch for next week. And still, thinking of the winter forecast, still, I think that, it's more of a front-loaded winter, so we deal with the cold and the snow more in line with December into January, but we could see temperatures moderate. And I think there's that good chance there, Chris, that we do get more of an early spring. So we see less of that winter lingering going into, late winter, February, March, April, where we could still get some of this winter to linger. I think we could see less of that and get more of an early spring for this year. That was, we talked about that in our winter forecast, that this winter could be more. We can see more of the brunt force of this early on. And then by February into March, April, we could start to see temperatures moderate more and get more of that early spring. So good news for you there in that regard too, Chris, that I think we had a good chance there. We could see more temperatures trend warmer there towards the end of winter, obviously warmer to what's normal for us, right? And when we're talking about average temperatures, so not to say we're stringing together a lot of 70s come February, but you get the idea that, we could see just in general some above normal temperatures, late this winter going into early spring and get more of that early spring looking ahead into the early part of next year, I guess you could say, as the new year is going to be, I'm sure, be here before we know it. That is for sure. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. You can catch me coming up News 9 and 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11 for the latest. Again, the big thing right now, these road conditions tonight, use caution, right? That cold rain washed off all the salt that was still covering our roads, but washed it off throughout the day today. Now we have to rely, crews are getting out working, I'm sure around the clock tonight, get out and treating these roads again, because anything that is not treated will freeze. Temperatures are dropping well into the 20s tomorrow morning. Bridges, overpasses, the first to freeze. We're already starting to see those temperatures near, and if for some spots below freezing north of I-70. So we can start to see this occur even here over the next few hours, right? Before midnight. Watch, because we can start to see areas of ice develop. Roads can become slick. Bridges, overpasses, the first. Use caution when traveling overnight for those slick spots that can develop. That's what to really watch for now. Outside of just being very cold tomorrow, likely nothing impactful outside of that as we go through Thursday. Thursday. Again, a lot of the snow Friday dives south of our area. Then Saturday could be more impactful for snow accumulation and road conditions. And we'll make sure to bring you the latest on all of that coming up tonight, 10, 11 o'clock. And as always, for the next edition of Nate at 8. So until then, have a wonderful night. I'll see all of you on the next edition of Nate at 8.